Hello, it's Jen from Jen DeBell Designs, and today for Country Craft Creations, I have recently showed a sneak peek in the Scrapbookers group of the album that I'm working on with my design team package, which is the gorgeous One Perfect Day by 49&Market. So wedding themed, I am making a wedding album. This is a 9x9 gatefold. And I wanted to just show you the sneak peek if you didn't see it. I made this little frame, which I will show you how I made. It's very simple and done with just a couple pieces of chipboard. And this is going to end up being a magnetic closure for our gatefold. So I'm going to set that aside. And I'm also going to set aside my cover pieces that I have assembled here so we can get to the actual album. Again, I can show you, and I'm going to put this together with you. Now, normally I just show a link below in my description of the lay flat method, but because this is a gatefold, I might confuse somebody, so I want to make sure that I do this part with you. I have done my wrapping already, so take a look at that link for the lay flat method to see how it's done if you need to. This is the back piece, so we have a heavy piece of chipboard at 9x9, and you'll have two that are 4.5x9, and I actually need to grab my spines. And our spines, you will have two of those that are 2.5x9, okay? So the paper to wrap everything, and I am using Artisan Craft. You will have for the lay flat method, 11x11 for your 9x9, two that are 5.5x11 for your spines, and two pieces that are 6.5x11 for your two doors on the front, your gatefold doors. Okay, so once those are all wrapped and ready to go, like I said, I'm going to put this together with you. I'm going to grab my scoreboard, so I will need my scoreboard, ruler, scissors, glue, score tape, and some bone folders, and of course a rag to wipe off any excess glue. So I'm going to turn my scoreboard sideways, and I'm going to grab my first spine. Now these have all been cut and ready to go. I'm just checking to make sure that I have enough mitering, and this one looks a little off, so I'm going to miter this one just a wee bit more. I did this in kind of a hurry, so I like to get those nicely mitered before I attach them to my book. All right, so what I'm going to do now is just grab some score tape. My printer is making weird noises. Apologize if you can hear that. And I like to go about 1/4 inch in from the spine's score line there, and just run a strip of the tape down. And I am going to do that on the outside as well, right up by that edge, and also in the middle. I'm also going to add glue just because that is how I prefer to do mine. So again, about 1/4 inch from that spine, maybe a little less. And I always go on the outside first. I'm not sure why, it's just a habit. I do the outside and then I do the middle. I don't know. All right. And I'll probably do the taping of the other one off camera so that you don't have to watch this boring stuff. But that is how I will prepare a spine. So then I'm going to go ahead and burnish all of that tape down. And I need some clips. That's the one thing I did not grab, but I have a whole bunch up here. So let's just grab some of these fun little clips, because the way I'm going to do this, I want to make sure that the glue gets a chance to dry. So I'm going to take the score tape off one side, Use my handy dandy pokey tool here that was made for me by one of the amazing ladies of Scrapbookers. All right, so I have that first side off. Now I'm going to pull my glue. Now you don't have to do the score tape. You can do just glue. You can do just score tape. I do a combination. I'm not quite sure why my glue pin is stuck in the bottle. Ugh, does not want to come out. It is really in there. It happens. All right, it's coming. Shouldn't have a clog then, I guess, but we'll see. I'm just going to go ahead and poke it just to make sure that I'm not going to have any clogging situation going on here. All right, so I have my glue there, or my tape there. I'm just going to run glue just on the top. I don't want too much. And I definitely don't want to go over that score line right now. I'm just going in between the pieces of tape. And then I can run a bead on the tape as well. I don't want it to get too messy, but I do want it to stick. So next what I'm going to do is I am going to grab my book. So I want this to be my cover, and I'm making sure that I have this the right direction because chipboard, I have it marked, is stronger one way than it is the other. And I always like to have mine stronger going this way when you're turning pages rather than this way, if that makes sense. All right, so I'm going to hold this up too. I'm going to just kind of fold this down a little bit here. And I am going to, you know what, I'm actually going to stick this on. I did this one upside down, but that's okay. I'm going to stick this on here first, just to get, I'm going to make sure I'm in camera here, that you can see. I'm going to make sure this is tight down in that corner. This one is a little bigger, so it's a little harder to just pick up. You want to go right up to that score line, nice and straight, and I just want to double check here. Yeah, we're good. Make sure that this is all lining up. Give it a really good burnish, and also on the inside, I'm going to give it a really good burnish. And this one doesn't look like I'm going to need to clip it, which is nice. All right, so that's one side of the book. That's one spine. So the next thing that we're going to have is one of our doors. So we will have the right door. Again, this is 4.5 by 9, and I've already got it wrapped. I lost my pokey tool. Aha. Get this tape off of here. Gatefolds are not any harder to do the lay flat method than a regular front, back, and spine. It's just a couple extra steps. That's all. So we're going to go ahead and add that glue. Make sure I have enough because I want it to stick. And because I have a smaller area here to work with, I am just going to put my door on from here. I should be able to line this right up with my book. Let me just turn this, whoops. Not always the easiest thing to show on camera though, I'll tell you. And I don't think I had that bent enough. There we go. Perfect. All right. This one just needs to be burnished now. As you can see, that's going to come up, and then we'll have the other side as well. right, that one is looking like it's going to stick nicely. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and tape this other one off camera. All right, so I got that one all taped and my tape is burnished. So next, I'm going to go ahead and add my left door onto this one, okay? So I'm going to get that tape off of there. And I have a real good score here on this one. So we're going to do this side using that method of picking it up. I'm just going to add glue. I want to make sure I have enough glue on there. The main reason that I use glue with my score tape is because it gives me a little bit of open time. And I like that because I don't want to have it stick and then have to move it, because then obviously I'm going to tear my paper. But if it's got a little bit of wet adhesive on there, it's a little easier. And this is giving me fits. So we're going to go, yeah. Jen's hands just are not working this morning. Okay. It doesn't want to, it wants to stick to that tape like I'm talking about. And I don't want that. I want this to line up. Okay. Oh, that is definitely not straight. All right, let me flip this down. Let's see where we're at here. No, we're not straight still. Not sure what's happening. Of course, it's going to do this when I'm trying to show you that it's not hard. It really isn't. It's just this one is being difficult. All right, so I finally got that on there. I'll just go in and burnish all that out. All right, again, that spine is upside down, but that's okay. So now we have to attach, it's all going to be all sorts of upside down. All right, now we have to attach this to this, okay? So I'm going to get the tape off once again. This one doesn't look like it has. I'm going to grab a different bone folder here real quick. Give this a little, if you notice that your line is not that visible, so that when you fold it, you have an issue, just make sure, oh, that one is not, I don't know about that. That is a little off. We'll see when we get it all together. I may have to fix that one. It looks a little crooked, but if it goes together, it's okay. We'll see. All right. I'm going to do this one on here. I think. Yes. Okay. So I'm going to move my scoreboard back a little. And I'm going to add glue here. So I don't have that same problem. I don't think I put enough glue on the other one and it just didn't want to slide around, and that made it stick a little. All right. So now we're going to bring this one in. So make sure you're on the side where you have your the back piece. And I'm going to try to gingerly pull this in here and get it up against there, right where I need it. All right, I think that's good. Just flip that over. We will find out here in just a minute if I need to do any adjusting. So this should close like so, and it works perfectly. this is what our book will look like. So you have your 4.5 by 9s. Never mind my spines that are upside down. They're fine. 2.5 by 9 and 9 by 9. So that is our base. I will need to cut papers to cover the spines. And those will be the same size as the paper that you use to wrap. So 5.5, and you'll probably go about 8 3/4, and 5.5 by 8 3/4. And I will do that here in just a moment. All right, so I cut those pieces. I'm going to pull my scoreboard out of here temporarily because we're going to move on to the pages, the signatures here in just a minute. But let's put this on. So the way that I like to do the spine covers, excuse me, is I will take glue and run it on the inside here, right along that chipboard. A decent amount, not a lot. We don't want it to be all gooey and gross, and don't go all the way to the top or all the way to the bottom, because this paper is not going to go all the way to the top or all the way to the bottom. And then I also add glue to the spine itself. This will also help when we're gluing this down. And then I have my 5.5 by 8 3/4 piece of a craft. Just going to glue that up. And, whoops, I'm dropping things. All right. You should have almost the same width as what you have here with your wings from your spine pieces that we wrapped with. It may be a little bit longer, but that is okay. All right, so now I'm going to get this burnished out really, really well. And here comes the glue seepage. Gotta love that glue seepage. I'm going to clean that up. And I will tell you that this album is big. This album took a full pack of craft artisan and then some. So just to let you know, between the cover and all of the signatures, it did take quite a lot of paper. But it will be a super nice wedding album in the end. All right, so I got that gluing. I'm going to let that dry a little, and we're going to go ahead and glue on the other one. Again, I'm going to run glue right next to that spine on the chipboard. And what that glue on the chipboard does, at least that I think, is that it, when we do our little bit of scoring and bending, it kind of helps wetten, if wetten is a word, the paper so that it bends and moves better without cracking. Artisan does not usually crack, but paper is paper. All right, I'm just going to add glue. This again, 5.5 by 8 3/4. And I'm going to put this one down. Again, I'm going to line it up with that wing piece as well as I can. And I'm going to burnish. And you want to burnish this piece down really, really well. This is reinforcing your spine. All right. Now we can go back over to this one because it is probably dry. And what you want to do here is use a bone folder. Like I said, be gentle. You still want to be careful. It is paper. Find where your spine is and just gently score along there. And then you can go a little, you'll see the glue start to seep out a little bit. And like I said, this is very helpful. We're going to just do this as we're pulling this wing, this door in, until you get to a point where that door moves a little easier. And like I said, you will see some glue seepage. And when you can close the door without forcing it, you don't want to force it. When it's easy to move, it's ready. You can hear that little bit of wet glue in there. And there's that one. Okay, and I have lots of glue coming out of here. Okay, and then the other side, we're going to do the same thing. Find where your spine is. Give it a nice light burnish. And then start to pick it up so you can burnish it even more. And really work in that spine's score line. And this was the one I thought I might have a little bit of an issue with, but it looks like it's going to be fine. Everything is still drying, and you want to do this, you know, timely, because we don't want, yeah, I'm going to have to clip that one. It's not sticking. That's what that noise is. All right. All right, we're going to do the same thing on the other side. We're going to start this time from the middle. Just get that, whoops, get that line. It's kind of hard to see craft on camera, but I'm doing my best here. I'm just going to lightly work that. This actually, I think, is the one that I was concerned with it bending properly, but it's doing just fine. Just go in and give it a burnish, and then we'll do that last one. Again, I'm just gently, so you can hear the glue probably picking up the paper. And I'm just going to pull this in. And we don't want to push too hard. Make sure that you are being very gentle with the paper, with your bone folder. I like to use one that's a little more rounded. It's been used, you know, time and time again, so I don't run the risk of popping a hole in my paper, because you can do that easily with a bone folder if it's too sharp. All right, so this is our cover. And then when we have the chipboard frame made, it will be on the cover here, and this will have magnets on this side, and the cover will have magnets, and this will hold it. Okay? All right, so I'm going to let that glue on there dry, and I'm going to set this off to the side, and we will get going on the signatures for this.